If the watch industry were playing a game right now called Who Can Release the Best Reissue, then Longines has this fairly sewn up. They're leading the category right now, and this year they released the Heritage 1973, a vintage-style column wheel chronograph based off the 1973 Conquest, which actually wasn't a very successful watch at the time. Right away, the dial strikes you with its panda coloration, named so because of the white background and the black chronograph registers. Panda dials are particularly interesting to collectors now, especially in vintage circles where Rolex Paul Newman Daytonas and Hoyer Carreras are king. And so I think when Longines chose this colorway, it really set the watch up to succeed. This is a tri-compact style layout, but you don't notice it at first. The 12-hour totalizer at 6 o'clock sort of blends into the dial, so at first glance it seems truer to the 1973 Conquest than it really is. Aside from the date and the extra subdial, it's a really faithful recreation and overall very well done even as a modern watch. There's a lot going on here, maybe it's even a little busy with the polished hands and markers and the excessive hashing around the dial, but that's all true to the original. However, it feels like the date was squeezed in there. It's less of an eyesore on the white dial version, but is a real distraction on the black one. I'd rather have seen the date at 6 o'clock or placed somewhere more symmetrical. Interesting fact about this case on the original 1973 Conquest is that it shared the exact same case with the Hoyer Camaro. For the reissue, Longines retained the original lines and barely upped the size. The cushion case on this watch is perfectly sized and very well finished. Cushion cases tend to wear larger, and I think 40mm strikes the right balance of vintage styling and modern size preferences. It's 47mm lug to lug, 14mm thick, so all around you have a very wearable watch. Like I said, the finishing is top notch, which you'd expect from Longines. I love the radial brushing on the top, which contrasts sharply with the mirror finishing on the sides and on the chronograph pushers. There's real charm in the profile too, because the dome sapphire crystal sits proud above the bezel. My only complaint with the case is how the recessed pusher for adjusting the date interrupts an otherwise very clean steel surface on the side. Turn the watch over and you're treated to a view of the movement through the sapphire display back. Just really nicely done. Now, in 1973, the Conquest utilized the legendary 30ch movement, an in-house hand-wound column wheel chronograph movement developed by Longines. The Heritage release houses caliber L688, an automatic column wheel chronograph movement with a 54-hour power reserve developed by ETA specifically for Longines. The 1973 comes on a black alligator strap with a signed pin buckle. It's a high-quality strap with some nice contrast stitching to contribute to the sportiness. The case has a 20mm lug width, so switching out straps should be easy if you prefer something even sportier like a rally strap or a NATO. Weighing in at 88 grams and being 14mm thick, it's wearable under most conditions. It's really an ideal everyday watch as you can dress it up or down. The Heritage 1973 is priced at $3,250, which puts this piece in entry-level automatic chronograph territory. Yes, you can get cheaper automatic chronographs from Zinn, Christopher Ward, Hamilton, Tissot, you name it, but for what you get here, a vintage-inspired design and a column wheel chronograph movement, it's a solid value. Now, I wish there weren't a date forced into the dial, and I really would rather have adjusted the date via the crown than have to use a key to access the pusher on the case. But the 1973 is all around a laudable execution. There's so much to love about it that makes these flaws much more tolerable.